These are some of the most common questions I get asked by my students about storyboarding. The first one is, can you storyboard too soon? Actually, I use storyboards in two ways. I use them as brainstorming tools and organization tools. So sometimes at the very beginning of writing my book, after I've done my brainstorming list, I'll play with the topics by placing them in order that they might go on the storyboard. Sometimes this generates images that I don't have when I'm starting to write, ideas that haven't come yet, or the biggest thing that it gives me is the idea of where the holes are. So then I can take those holes and start writing new islands. So if you use storyboard as a brainstorming tool rather than just an organization tool, you can do it right at the beginning of your book journey. One of the main questions I get is, should I be trying to storyboard the major events on the W when I don't even know what they are yet? No, don't worry about that. Just place the ones that you do know. Again, use it as a brainstorming tool so that you can set maybe one or two main events on the storyboard and then decide what's missing. Seeing them on a visual map sometimes gives you really good clues as to what you need to write next. Some people ask if you have to follow the W in straight lines. Actually, no. You can have it be like a heart graph so that each of these lines can have little ups and downs all the way down and up them. And that way you don't have to pick all positive events and all negative events. They can vary. But generally, if you look at the group of events in your book that you're collecting in Act 1, they have to be on a downslide. In Act 2, like an upside down V, partly upside, partly downside. Act 3 always has to be climbing. So this is a great way to actually segregate the different events in your book and decide where to place them on the storyboard. So for instance, if you have events that are negative or increasing a problem, you know they have to go between point 1 and point 2 or point 3 and point 4. They can't go on the upward slide because they don't give that kind of effect to the reader. So it becomes a great formula for where to place the different scenes in your book. One of my students said, even though I have 50,000 words written, I still feel like I'm still writing to discover my characters and my story. Totally understandable. This is really common. But don't let that stop you from storyboarding. Use those 50,000 words as a way to kind of play with what might be missing. The storyboard can give you information about what you need to write next. It'll get you out of ruts. For instance, you may be writing the same scene over and over and over again in different ways. The storyboard will show that up immediately. And then you can start looking at other kinds of scenes to write. So the storyboard is great for generating ideas for your book as well as organizing ideas you already have. Your storyboard should change and grow as your book evolves. If the storyboard becomes this static, archaic thing hanging out in your writing room, it's really not going to serve your book. So as you write more islands, you get more ideas of where you want to go. Say you're developing a new theme, a new character comes into your story, a new location. You need to take time to go back to the storyboard and adjust it and make sure it actually reveals and reflects the journey that your book is taking. It's not something you do once. I usually do 3 storyboards for every book, the same storyboard, but 3 different ways. The first one is my draft. The second one, when I'm in revision, I go back to my storyboard and I make sure it's true. And then again, I'll do one right at final edit to make sure things like theme and voice and pacing are reflected in the storyboard. Do I have enough inner story? Do I have enough outer story? Is the dilemma strong enough? All these things are really carefully answered by your storyboard in a way that I've never found another tool to do.